Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sports Talk with Sam Darley. Today I'm going to talk about the NFL free agency, and well, boy, what a crazy day we had yesterday, huh? Ndamukong Suh's officially signed with the Miami Dolphins to a huge contract. Well, that was obviously going to happen, but big names on the move. Jimmy Graham to the Seahawks. Now former Texan Andre Johnson's visiting the Indianapolis Colts. As a Texan fan, I think honestly that if he signs with the Colts, then it shows he was not truly a Houston Texan. I hate the Colts, sorry, but I do. He's been one of the Andre Johnson has been one of the longest tenured Texans, and I hate to say it, to me, he comes off as a traitor if he signs with Indianapolis. They're a division rival. He's been with, like I said, he was with the Texans for a really, really long time. I think if he signs with the Colts, he's a traitor. I don't want to hear any. I'm done. I'm done with Andre Johnson. I'm done. So moving on. The Eagles traded Nick Foles and got Sam Bradford, who's injury prone. They've lost Jamie Macklin, Deshaun McCoy this offseason. That's two dynamic playmakers gone from their offense. If you're an Eagles fan, a Saints fan, and in a way a Texans fan, although the Texans have had a pretty good offseason, I think they have. I mean, they've retained two of the top priority free agents. They brought Mallet back, and I think he could be a good quarterback. They also bring Brian Hoyer on board. I like that signing too. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But outside of that, with this whole Andre Johnson thing, it's kind of putting a damper on a pretty good off-season. But if you're an Eagles fan, and you're a Niners fan, and you're a Saints fan, your off-season is probably not looking too bright. But then again, for the Saints, they could find a better option, though I highly doubt it, in the draft. Jimmy Graham's one of the top tight ends in the league. I don't understand that deal at all. No matter how many times people try to say, well, it's a cap-saving move, he's one of the top tight ends in the league. He's one of the best players in the NFL. And you just traded him for pretty much almost nothing. Seahawks, however, got pretty much invincible. I mean, if they got Andre Johnson, if Andre backed out of the Colts and chose to go to Seattle, I think that would be a pretty good. That might be a pretty darn dominant team with the Legion of Boom and Beast Mode back and Jimmy Graham. Russell Wilson's gonna have some weapons to play with now. When I look at the Seahawks, they didn't have a dynamic playmaker in the receiving game, and now they got one. And I think the biggest beneficiary of this is Russell Wilson. He's gonna have a top playmaker. He's gonna have somebody that could go make the big play for him. His receivers are decent. I mean, they're not gonna light you up on a football field. They're not. They don't have dynamic speed. They're not very athletic. I mean, to me, I think it's pretty darn amazing what Russell Wilson has done so far in his career. I think he's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I don't get the overrated talk on him. He's athletic. He can make plays with his legs, and it's a great option. But, back to the offseason, the Niners are losing a boatload of talent on defense. Now they're talking about dumping Kaepernick. They have no coach. No offense to Tom Sula, I don't think he'll be a good coach for them. They're looking at a 2-14 Niners team, if we're judging by free agency, and a 4-12 Eagles team. Again, if we don't judge by free agency, you judge by the draft. How how well does a team draft? That draft isn't until April 30th, and it's just not looking real good for the Niners, Eagles, and certainly not the Saints. The question for the Saints now is, what did they do with Drew Brees? Are they going to hold on to him, or are they going to move him too? Like I said, it would be shocking. It would be shocking to see Drew Brees on the move, but what option? Well, they're not going to have an option at quarterback if they do decide to move Drew Brees, so I don't see that happening. But then again, I've been wrong before. Speaking of quarterbacks, man, the Rams, that defense, they can build up that offensive line, and Nick Foles is quarterback. I tell you what, if the Seahawks hadn't got Jimmy Graham, I would probably pick the Rams to win the West. Then again, like I said, we're just judging off free agency. They haven't drafted any. Draft hasn't happened yet. I still think they need a number one receiver, because while Trey Mason should be their number one running back, and he's a very good player, they don't really have an outside playmaker. Tavon Austin's speed is incredible, but I look at him more as a kick returner, slot receiver type player. So maybe they might move, well, now they moved down from 10 to 20. That's a pretty risky pick. It's a pretty risky trade. But I think Nick Foles gives them a great chance to compete. And I think they could be a contender as early as 2015, this year. The Texans are linked to a lot of big-name free agents, like Vince Wilfork, and maybe adding Raheem Moore. Well, that's not a big free agent, but that's a good player. He's a good player, but I think the Texans have had a good offseason. They've cut two aging players, no offense to Andre Johnson and Chris Myers. Chris Myers is done, realistically. Just from what I saw on the field last year, I thought he consistently got beat off the line of scrimmage by bigger, stronger defensive tackles, and speed, and linebackers were able to just blow past him like nobody's business. So he was a great player. But at the price that the Texans were paying, no, that wasn't a good deal for them. So they cut him. And then Andre Johnson, yeah, he's still productive, but I think a lot of people who are saying, well, he's not lost a step, he's not lost this, that, he's not past his prime. Yeah, he's on the decline. No, receivers have to be able to create separation from defenders, and that's one thing I talk about the Seahawks receiving core. They can't do that. That's why I don't think they're very good. Andre could still make the big play every now and then when you need it. But as far as being a number one receiver, which is what he was being paid to be, no, I don't think he's a number one receiver. I think the Texans made some. I think those are two tough decisions. I was really surprised they kept Jonathan Joseph. I think that guy has lost a step too. I thought they would cut him at his cap number, but they haven't, and I found that was quite surprising. But yeah, like I said, they got two key free agents. They got two of the top priority free agents back, and they added two quarterbacks. So that creates that creates a question now: what will they do in the draft? Will they go get a quarterback? Now, I think the quarterback position for the Texans, and we're looking at and not just the Texans, the league in general is looking at a quarterback shortage essentially, because in this draft, from my eyes, I think there's only four worth taking, and that's Matt Winston, Mariota, Petty, and Grayson. I don't see, outside of those four quarterbacks, anybody worth taking with a draft pick in any round. Well, let's go too far. I'd probably take maybe a Blake Sims in the 6th or 7th round, but none that's going to be like well, this guy could be a franchise quarterback, and I think it's because of all these one-read systems in college. It's really affecting how you evaluate quarterback talent. It's really hurting these quarterback needy teams because now they don't know. With Mariota and Petty, those guys come from one-read systems. They come from a lot of no huddle, shotgun, basic, simple dink and dunk, run and gun type offenses, and that doesn't always translate to the NFL. As Bruce Arians of the Arizona Cardinals said, it's like when they come to the pros, it's like learning to play the quarterback position all over again for them. So, and that's what we're looking at in the next couple of years, maybe even longer. So the quarterback position, really, you got to add a veteran, and then you got to take a guy and let him develop. And that's essentially, that's essentially the plan for all quarterback needy teams now. I mean, they're gonna be like a Buffalo. I mean, if they had a quarterback, they might be a big threat to the for the AFC. And maybe even the Super Bowl. LaShawn McCoy is a very good player. He's finished top 10 in the league in rushing every year, I believe. That was a big trade for them. Their defense is really, really good. But it comes back down to the quarterback position. And the Texans, I think, have got two. I think Mallett and Hoyer are two really good quarterbacks. I think Mallett had, excuse me. I think Mallett's got a lot of potential. I think he's got star potential, to be honest. He controls the huddle. They're both in a system that they're very comfortable in. Hoyer went to Cleveland. Well, he was the starter last year and a half with Cleveland. I know he struggled at the end, but the Browns don't really have much talent around the quarterback. They don't have any receivers. Their running backs are decent, and that's pretty much. And their tight ends are below average. Their running backs are about average, and they don't have any receivers. So Hoyer didn't even fit the West Coast type system that Kyle Shanahan ran last year in Cleveland. And it all became a big mess at the end with, did they start Johnny Manziel? They should have just benched Manziel the whole season and let him learn and develop. And now they've lost Hoyer and they picked up McCown, and they're doing this vicious cycle again of having a veteran quarterback. I mean, the Browns are just a mess. They are. They're just a mess. And for Brian Hoyer to be 10-5 as the Browns starting quarterback, that's impressive. And now he's coming back to a system that he's comfortable in. He's got a great relationship with Bill O'Brien, the Texans head coach. I think the Texans are going to be fine at the quarterback position. I think Mallett's got a prove yourself type deal, and I love his attitude. He believes he's a franchise quarterback. He's not the type of backup that goes, I'm just a backup. Oh, okay. He thinks in his mind that he's a star quarterback that can lead the Texans to a Super Bowl. Cool. I'm excited. As a Texans fan, that makes me really happy. I'm really confident in him. I'm really confident in Hoyer, too. If I had to pick between the two right now, I would probably still pick Mallett to win the starting job. But we don't know what's going to happen in camp. They do need to address the wide receiver position now that Andre Johnson is going to be gone. They need to address their offensive line. They need to address their safety position, their outside linebacker position, and if they do that, and they have a good draft, they got good cap space. They could come out of this looking real rosy, the Texans. So it's been a good offseason for them. And the only thing that could dampen things is Andre Johnson betraying them by going to the Colts. But I've moved on from Andre Johnson. I'm tired of if he goes to the Colts, fine, whatever. We're gonna beat him anyways. We're gonna beat him twice this year. But it comes down to the draft. It comes down to drafting better. If the Texans do get production from that draft class, that's an if. and that's a big need for the Texans. They need to get production out of the draft classes going forward if they're going to be a Super Bowl contender.